Hi there, Prairie Plant Girl here. This morning I'm out in my garden. It's overcast, it's supposed to rain in a little while, and it's about 5 degrees Celsius. But it's a beautiful morning for planting some brassicas out into this warmed up flower bed here. I started these brassicas in my house, so I have in my hand here, I have some cabbage and cauliflower, and I also have a tray with some broccoli and Brussels sprouts. So everything but the Brussels sprouts is going to go under this plastic dome, and then I have another spot for the Brussels sprouts. And it's now close to the middle of April, and I would like to get them out. They've been in these trays, I think now about 6 weeks. For the last month, I think 3 weeks for sure, these have been out in my greenhouse, which is unheated, and we've still been getting very cold at night. So they have been on a heat mat when we've been getting down like to -10, -20 at night with a frost blanket over them. And the rest of the time they've just been out uncovered, even when we're getting to freezing temperatures. So they're definitely hardened off in that way and good enough to be going under this plastic. They haven't been hardened off for direct sun or a lot of wind on them yet, but they won't be getting that in this situation here where they're going today. So this bed, I put this cover on about a week ago to let the sun shine on the plastic and warm the bed up. At that time, all of my beds were still covered in snow and frozen solid, but it's definitely warmed up under the cover, and even the snow has melted in the rest of my yard as well for the most part. Time to get these brassicas in the ground. Getting them started in the cool weather is actually better for them, and they'll grow better than letting them get out close to the warm temperatures, because brassicas aren't big fans of high heat and they prefer the cool weather, and they can take a little bit of frost. So to start, I'm just going to lift this frame off of this bed. Us. And it looks like I have a little bit of cleaning up and tidying up to do in it. Maybe even a parsnip down here. Oh, just a little one left in the ground. I don't think we'll worry about saving that little guy. Oh, and I disturbed a whole bunch of ladybugs. There's a whole pile of ladybugs down on the ground here that have been overwintering in this bed. So we'll try and slide them to the side where I won't damage them too much. There you go, little guys. Oh, there's another one. So I'm just going to smooth and level out the soil. I already have some drip lines in here. Now, my water system isn't on yet because we are still getting down to freezing some nights. Our average last frost isn't until around the middle of May. So these lines won't be turned on yet, but there's lots of moisture in this soil from all that snow that just melted in here, which is perfect for planting. So I'm just going to get it all prepped and ready, and then we'll bring you back. So now I have the garden bed all leveled out. That was just, I had a big mound of compost. Every fall I empty out whatever's remaining in my composter to get it ready to fill over winter so that it's ready to heat up and go right away in the spring with fresh food scraps and things. So I just take whatever is left in the composter and I just either collect it in bags or I'll put it on my garden beds. And that was just a big pile of compost that I'd produced. So it's now spread out a really nice layer of compost on top to get some nice nutrients into the soil, ready for these plants. That's perfect. And I have a little map of where I want everything planted. So I'm just going to lay these plants out where I want them, and then I'll show you how I plant them. First, let's pop one out. These little clear trays, these are out of those domed trays that I purchased this year, and this is just the inner part of it, and it's nice because you can see the root development on the plants right inside there. So. Hey Buster, you didn't want to miss this part. It is exciting. You want to see? So there, that's a nice plug. What is that? What did I grab out? That's the Catarina cabbage right there. So I'm just going to lay these all out where I want them, and then we'll get them planted. It's good to put your garden plants in a plastic sleeve, so when you bring them out, you can just throw them on the muddy soil and it's okay. hopefully you can see those little tiny plants that are sitting here on the ground. It's a perfect day to be planting these because the same temperature in the greenhouse as this soil should be right here. So I'm just going to be digging a hole. This is some Arcadia broccoli, and I've placed my broccoli about 8 inches, 6 to 8 inches apart. So I've just dug a nice deep hole. Brassicas can struggle with clubroot, and they prefer a more alkaline soil. So using a little bit of lime in your planting hole and on the roots can help to prevent the clubroot. So I'm going to do that with each plant. And they're also a heavy feeder. So I'm just going to take a fertilizer. Now you can use whatever you like. This one happens to be a ProMix organic multi-purpose, but it's high in nitrogen, and that's what I'm looking for because that will help with the leafy growth. So I just sprinkled a little bit of that in and around the planting hole. I'm just going to set my plant down, and I'm burying it just a little bit deeper than it was growing, and I have it marked there. So I have 3 Arcadia broccoli that I'm going to plant. So my Arcadia broccoli are all planted here. So once again, you just take, this is Green Magic now. Just going to dig a little hole. You see my soil is nice and lofty. And there's a drip line right running along beside these at this edge here and the ones back further. So they'll get plenty of water once the system gets turned on. So a little bit of lime. Just a little fertilizer into the hole, and I just like to bury them. You don't have to bury them a little bit deeper. It gives them a good support. And that's all there is to it. There's one more here. Again, this is Green Magic now. So the Arcadia and Green Magic are both supposed to be good for cooler temperatures. And so those are good ones to get going early on in the season. That's all there is to it. So super easy to plant your brassicas. So that's 6 broccoli plants already planted. I have more room down here to put some more broccoli, but I want to stagger the planting out so it's not all ready at the same time. And I have a few broccoli plants that I want to grow that are a little bit better for warmer days. And so I'll plant those out. I'll be starting those soon indoors, and then I can plant them out a little bit later on, and they'll work better through the summer for me. And I still have my cabbage and my cauliflower to plant, and the same thing with those. These are the varieties that are a little bit better for cooler weather or a quick crop, and then I'll put in the ones that are going to take a little bit longer and can handle the heat a little better in another month or so. So the varieties of cauliflower that I have some Minuteman and early snowball, and then I've chosen to do my Katarina cabbage and one Taiwan cabbage. So that's the plants that I'll be putting in here today. Now it's a good idea, if you're going to be planting early like this, that your plants have been acclimated to the cold temperatures. So I didn't take plants that had been inside somewhere warm, where maybe they were at like 15, 20 degrees Celsius at their root zone, and then popping them into this cold soil, because that would make them shock and they wouldn't be very happy, and I might even lose the plants. So I chose plants that were out in my cool greenhouse. They are at about the same temperature as they're getting planted into right now, and that's ideal for them. So keep that in mind if you're going to be doing this planting. So some other things that you could consider planting at this time of year are a lot of seeds. So once your soil is around 3 to 5 degrees Celsius, which is, I believe, around 35 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, that is kind of the bare minimum temperature that you want to start planting some of your seeds. The seeds you could plant at that time would be your cool season lettuces, cool seasoned spinach, Swiss chard, kale. Some kales like red Russian kale will do really well in the cold weather. Beets, peas, onions could go. I could even be planting my onion starts out. I might even grab a few and put them in this bed. We'll see how far I get before it starts raining here. Your parsnips, your carrots, any of those root vegetables are great things to get started as long as your soil has warmed up to that above freezing temperature. It doesn't matter if you're still going to be getting frosts and cool weather at night. You just need it to be that the soil is workable. I don't know if you saw the little chickadee just fly through here. But you need your soil to be workable so you can stick your hands down to a good depth. Like you could see I was digging down quite a ways, and I could have dug down even further. And it's not going to feel warm to your hands, but it's going to be pliable and workable, and it's not going to be soggy, sodden. You know, you're not going to be squeezing water out of it. So once you have that kind of nice workable, friable soil, you can be putting those things in the ground to get started. I don't know if I mentioned peas. Peas are another one that you can try. I wouldn't put your whole crop out because sometimes those pea seeds will rot if the soil gets too cold and wet, which can happen in the spring. And I wouldn't pre-soak any of my seeds. I would just let them go in the soil and do their natural thing in the soil this time of year. So I hope that gives you some ideas if you want to be out planting and getting that growing itch scratched. So I have the cover over my bed because I'm actually putting out started plants and I want to give them that little bit of extra protection. But if you're just starting seeds, you don't need to go and have anything like that. One thing to consider if you are going to be using a cover is anytime the sun is shining or it is even remotely above freezing out, I am going to want to make sure that I am venting this cover. So you can easily fry your plants under a cover like this with even just the slightest hint of sunshine and near freezing temperatures, because underneath it could be getting a lot warmer. So keep that in mind if you're going to be using a cover. It's better to err on the side of venting it than not venting it. So I'm going to end my video here and just get to planting before the rains come. But I hope this gave you some ideas and some thoughts about what to do in your garden in the coming weeks. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.